Whoops, I wasn't there. Now I am, and kind of cut off a little. Anyway, um, welcome everyone. Good to see everyone back on the channel. Today we've got another guest who is, I think, a Muslim. We'll see. But I've got my co-host and friend Mobarak back for this one. Mobarak, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Doing fine. So our guest for today, we saw him on a show on Ross channel. For people who have missed that, the link is down below in the description. Um, I was watching that show and yelling at the screen, so I thought we might as well invite him to come on our channel as well. Hopefully to have a good conversation and to figure out why he believes what he believes. And I think you might still have some questions left after that one, don't you, Mubarak?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have some questions.
Okay. So our guest for today is Salman. Salman, welcome to the show. Do a quick introduction for
Hi.
us. Tell people who you are.
Sure. Peter, I did just a few days ago, I did a debate with Aaron and Mobarak and Boraz, and it was a great learning experience for each of us. Like we had 3 hours of debate there. I normally do not do such debates. It's my first time that I started debate, and the topic was that there was some scientific numbers that can be extrapolated or can be understood as the birth of the solar system and Earth and planets and stuff like that. So we went along with those lines, and Mubarak was kind enough to talk to me about those things. Um, I personally am a software businessman for 21, 22 years now. So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a CEO of a company. I have 35 employees working for me. I have offices in different, like in Canada, in US. I have also office in Dubai. I have in Pakistan. So I have 4 offices. Um, I move around a lot, travel a lot. The last time that I saw Aaron, I was inspired. I wanted to talk to him. He was kind enough to, talk to me about these matters, and he gave me his space. He gave me time, and the screen time to talk about what I believe. So this is how it was.
Okay.
Yes, Peter.
So we always start off with one specific question, and that is, what do you believe? More important, why do you believe it? Can you expand on that a little?
Yeah, sure. So I wasn't a very religious person from the very, you can say, when I was in my 18s and 19s. I was reading all the self-help material, everything. Like I was learning about how to be an optimist, how to improve yourself, and stuff like that. And I was happy with that, right? I was okay. I was doing good and stuff. I just started my business. Everything was going fine, and then an episode in my life came up after I got married, the first time I got married. Um, then that marriage didn't work because the ex-wife that I had was too religious extremist, right? But that sort of changed me. After the divorce, I was some people, some of you, like, might be, you might say that what I am is like someone from a Swedish syndrome or something like that. That why did I change my beliefs after this episode? You can say. Um, I didn't just start looking answers in Islam. I first started with some books like Tao Te Ching. That's the Chinese wisdom of yin yang. I started with those first, Buddhism. I did all that. Then I realized this is a very good way to live your life, right? But doesn't give you a lot other answers. Like it still it makes you sort of a good person if you want to become, but there will always be unknowns in this way of spiritual undertaking. So I looked into Christianity. I even went to the churches and even sort of, like, you can say, not baptized, but I was in the verge of doing it. Like I was too inspired by the story of Jesus and stuff. And then I found those Genesis stories coming up and stuff, which I cannot explain to myself, like sun coming on the third day, and the plants coming on the fourth day, and that there was light before the sun and stuff like that. Not only that, but many other things. So I was like, okay, let's try Islam. So Islam was actually the last one that I tried, because this was something that I was scared of. Like it is the reason I got divorced, right? Strangely, what I found was the way people have treated this religion, especially Islam, the way they have thought about it, the whole tradition, the traditional approach, is neither scientific, nor there is a scrutiny, nor there is a measure or anything. There is a lot of voices coming out. If you hear this person, you're going to hear that person. They're going to say totally different things, right? So so, so this is the only thing that was something that stopped me. Why so many sects, so many different understandings, right? What I did was, then I studied took a few Arabic lessons, not like a completely comprehensive ones, but intermediate enough to make sense of the verses. What I found was that with time, uh, as we progressed in science and other sciences like politics and morality and stuff, as we progressed in time with these things, those things didn't change. Those translations still were the old ones. And nobody is addressing this right now. Nobody is actually saying, okay, let's come on one platform. Let's try to figure out what exactly it is. There is no body like that. So I started to work on a website. Now, this website, I'm not still, it's not online. Like it's gonna be. It's one Quran. So one Quran. The concept is that you have to find debaters. You have to find people who can debate each specific ayahs, and they're gonna precisely translate the translation. So I think this is missing in Islam, in Muslims, because when I read the Quran, it is so different from what other people have said about it, especially because of including or injecting hadiths in the Quran. Now, injecting the hadiths in the Quran is very wrong. You know why? Because hadith is not the word of God. Hadith, even in hadith sciences, it is understood that hadith is not the word of God. You have to see which hadiths are relevant to the Quran and which are opposite or contradictory to the Quran. Now, the Quran's right and wrong. Quran is a book of Mizan. The point is that Quran is saying that you have to measure everything according to Quran. Whatever it says yes and whatever it says no, you have to take that. So what I did was I started learning from all the religions, all self-improvement books, everything, because as long as I'm not changing and not denying God, I am free to do in the world whatever I want to do. See, it gives me a very beautiful boundary, actually. This is a different perception of looking at things. Like why we have to be very restricted to one text and not take wisdom from all the other books in the world. Just keep this book as a measure of right and wrong, and you are all okay, right? So you can be the best you want to be. And the other thing is, why God, right? Why God? That was also a question in my mind. Why God? Who needs God? Why we need God? um I would say, without God and without a self knowledge of God, there is always going to be some issues deep under yourself. There's going to be, from time to time it will come up. This question is not going to be settled. Not people are not going to become disbelievers in, in future or something like that, because with time people are going to understand it better, but not become disbelievers. It's not necessary that, if you think, being an atheist, that everyone in the world will become an atheist. I don't see that as a possibility. It's ingrained in ourselves, in our deep thoughts. It is ingrained in them that we will come back to it, no matter how hard we try. So that's my intro for this question that you asked me about my path.
Okay. One thing
Okay.
I missed a little. So one question I do have. You were looking for a religion because that would make you a better person. That's the part I don't really get.
Um, yeah, that's a very good question, actually. How I would say, how I would see that is that, what was the reason that I got divorced? Was it because I was lacking something? I mean, not everybody would choose that kind of a thinking, right? I know on that for sure, right? Everybody is not going to think like that. Somebody will say that, okay, our understanding was different. We were different people. We were having a totally different chemistry and stuff. So it makes sense that it didn't work out. So why lose hope there, right? Move on, get married again, right? Which I did. I did get married. I have two kids, beautiful kids. I am happy with my life, as happy as I can be. I am the happiest person in the world right now, and I know it. So there is no reason
Can be
for
because
me to
that's me.
actually do
That's me.
it.
Sorry, I have to break it to you, but that's me.
Yeah, yeah. Keep it up, Peter. Keep it up. That's good. That's good thoughts. Okay, so my intention has been and always been to be very fair with what I understand about the world. I cannot just believe people saying stuff and I just give it. I have to give thinking about it. I have to think about it. I can't just believe without any logic. I have to be told the right things for it to make sense. Uh, Now, when you scrutinize and see the world the way it is rigged for a god, to be honest. I mean, it's an unescapable question.
Why would
It's
you
an
think that?
unescapable thing. You might yeah. All right. So let's say there is no God, and let's say there is no social constructs that we abide to. There are no principles like incest
What?
being wrong, or let's say,
What?
or
Why do you
maybe these
assume?
are.
Yeah. Why do you assume that the lack of existence of God mean the lack of existence of a social construct? Because in an atheistic point of view, you could say, well, we evolved these social constructs because we are social animals. We had to build
Mhm.
bonds and units to be able to thrive as a species. So we don't even need God to tell us why. The reason why incest is bad because it's biologically bad for offspring, and it's sociology bad for structure of family. You have lack of trust. There's a long list of things that it's bad besides just God said so. And on the point
Yeah.
of that topic, the close family structure, and when you look at a religion like Islam, it forbids the close family as siblings and parents, but does not forbid the cousins. Which, if you look at it, it's still close enough
Hmm.
that you will get the problems with it. And I personally know
Yes.
people who have families. I have family members that made close enough that had offspring that had genetic defect and diseases like that. So it's You know, it's you don't need God to tell you to have a social structure.
I understand. You're,
And
yeah,
if I
exactly.
may
But
add to that real
Mubarak,
quick, if I may add to that real quick, the
yeah.
because you mentioned family structure. Um, when I grew up in the 70s, that was when we had a massive influx, uh, uh, people from Turkey and Morocco who were looking for work in my country, and a Moroccan family moved in a couple of doors down. Family with 5 kids. The youngest one was a daughter, which I still to this day see as my sister because she spent more time at our house than at her own house. So we were pretty close. I was I think 14, 15 at the time, so she became kind of my little sister. Um, One of the things
Hmm.
that happened ever when family came over from Morocco to visit, and we were invited to hang out with the family, there was a segregation. The women needed to be in one room and the men in another room, and that is because that's how it was supposed to be in an Islamic family. So the close knit family idea I never got because they were splitting up, and even though the family that became my friends quickly ditched that and basically tried to adopt the social structures in the Netherlands, where you were all in one room when you were visiting, uh, and that got them into trouble with the imam and people from the mosque who were there pretty much once a week to tell them how they were wrong and how they were not really Muslims. And so that's, if you say it's about the family structure, if there's one religion that to this day is still ripping families apart, even in just social gatherings, it's Islam.
All right. So, yeah, Peter, I'll talk about that too. Let me address the topic. The Mubarak just said a very good thing right now, which I already have. I also, wrestle with this problem also. That why are cousin marriages allowed? This is not something restricted, right? It should be restricted and should be known to all people through Islam, stuff like that, right? This is what puzzled me too. But if you read Quran says that whatever harm comes your way is your own doing, and there is other place where it says that uh, you have to use your mind. You don't have to like Quran never says that whatever works you don't have to understand and you have to adopt it. The problem is the traditional Muslims that you, Peter, are talking about, the segregation of women and men. Now, segregation of women and men, if it is something, if you can say that you might say that based on your cultural understanding and your own thinking, if it is wrong and something that you know that doesn't make any sense and stuff, but you have to realize that there are cultures who actually look up to this, like they like it, like they don't feel ashamed or
Why?
wrong about it, like they like
Why
the
would
way
you
it is.
like? Why would you like
I
something like
think
that?
I think it has to do with gender segregation. It has to do a lot with intermingling of genders, and this may or
Why is
like for
that bad?
example, in our tradition, in our religion, I would say because in Islam you have to marry, right? You have to be faithful to who you marry to and stuff. So you can't just intermingle with people around. If we, if I'm gonna,
I know,
go
I
to
know. Hold
extremes,
on,
to make.
Salman,
If
Salman. Hold on,
hold on,
hold
hold
on.
on, hold on.
No, you.
If wait, wait,
When I
wait, wait.
ask why, your answer is because is in Islam you have to do such and such. My question was, why is it bad for men and women uh, to spend time together in one room? Why do we need to segregate them?
I would say that there is always a chance. There is always going to be, a hope in yourself or the other person to let go of the boundary that God set for you and stuff. Like, I mean, in Islam, the marriage is the only thing where you can have intimate
Oh,
relation and stuff.
hold on. So
See,
I'm
if I
curious.
want to extreme,
I'm curious.
yeah,
It You let go of the
yeah.
boundary. I'm still back on why do is there what's the boundary you're talking about? I mean, aren't Islamic men trained to behave in the company of women? I mean, that's not really
It's
difficult
a
to do.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. See, there are two things in the world, right? There is a ritual, there is a spiritual, there is a heart, there is a mind, there is a body. Like, there is no one set thing, right? So even though you might be a very humble person, nice person, loving person, and you might not be talking to women just to, get into their pants, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to just go out and just chill with them, right?
But
It is not
but
necessary, right?
hold
Now,
on,
if you have an
hold on.
intention to get married,
Sorry,
right, that's another
hold on.
story.
That was the thing that I was hoping that would come up. I mean, I can spend time with a woman without even thinking of getting in her pants. I mean, why would that be the first thing for me that will come up if I'm in the company of a woman? I mean, that's just silly.
Yeah, but see, even if you, I have some employees who are women, right? They come, for the work. The intention is work, right? When your intentions are good and you are doing that, there is no prohibition. The problem is when you are mixing together without any reason. There is no reason for you to mix around, right? That is something questionable. That's the whole thing about it. Intention. We in Islam we have a tradition. It's called, your acts will be judged by your intentions. Now, for example, if I have an intention that I am going to work and my employees are going to work, and it's perfectly fine. And there are many Muslim women who are working in a country in different parts of the world. It's not like obligated for them to. We are not Talibanizing the world, right? We are just saying that the moderate approach to Islam is there, and the more you emphasize the moderate approach, it's gonna be more truthful, because Islam is moderation.
Well,
It
here's
teaches
the
No, it's
thing.
not.
moderation.
I
It is
Here's
about moderation.
Peter.
Yeah. Go
Okay,
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I will say that the hidden thing here, the reason why Islam does not want men to mix with women is not because of protection or anything. It's because the way Islam looks at women is the exact same way Arab in the 7th century looked at women as a less than a belong to the men. That's why you have to have a person, a male guy to guardian to travel with. That's why you cannot get married until your male guardian sign off on you. And it's all that reason that a woman is a less than, and it's always going to be an object rather than a person, a full on human person in Islamic views. So yeah, there
And
is totally nothing wrong of just want to hang out with your friend, female and male, and play video game, or just read a book or do whatever. You
And
don't really need a reason. You could just go hang out, you
yeah,
know.
and the
And it's
opposite
it's crazy to me.
the
Yeah,
opposite is
yeah,
true
it's
because
crazy to me to deny people that opportunity. Yeah.
yeah, and the opposite is true because all I've heard so far is that you may have impure thoughts. Do you know why that would be the first thing that comes up in you is because you're not used to be around women and accept them as your equals and just be friends, because that's part of the community that you didn't grow up with, that you didn't learn. And this is what I experienced back in the 70s with the Moroccan family. The mother of the family was liberated. She could talk to people that she liked without having any kind of impure thoughts, because that's just completely ridiculous
Yeah,
that would just come up.
yeah,
But
Peter.
when you
Peter,
when
you have
you hold on,
yeah.
when you train men not to be open to friendship with a female without thinking about sex, then that is all they will think about when they see a woman. They will see, as Mobarak just said, they will see them as an object, and 9 times out of 10 as an object of desire that they want to have and want to have their way with. And this is why it is a bad thing, because you're disrupting an entire community. You're uh, basically keeping men from the kind of education that they would need in order to go out in the world and be safe around women.
Mhm. Yeah, you have a point here. But Peter, if you made the point that women segregated will be not making any sense. But if you are in a friend zone, that's your nia, that's your intention. You are a friend, so you won't think about sex. So the point here again, the same point comes up. It depends upon the intention. Now, without an intention, if you have female friends, then obviously you're gonna do some crazy shit. Now, that's not something that we have any doubt on. Like
Can
it's
you give me an
happening everywhere,
example? Can
right?
you give me an
Now,
example of crazy shit? I'm
I
just
would
curious.
say, okay, if you're in a if you have a friend, right, you have a very good friend, you can talk all the things, right? You can talk about what about your life and everything. Nobody is stopping you. Your intention is good, right? But if your intention is not made up and it's based on your pleasure, it's only your pleasure that you're doing it, then what is the limit of that pleasure? You tell me. I mean, okay, one thing
And
the
that's
Mubarak is telling to
exactly what
me,
I meant.
one thing.
That is exactly what I meant.
Yeah,
You don't have the answer for
yeah.
that. For to
So
you, that's a mystery. To me, it's not. Because I have female friends, and we
if
can
yeah,
even talk about sex openly without any problem, without me getting
yeah,
crossing a
again,
line with a woman.
again,
But we can talk about it because
again, the same thing applies. You have a good intention,
it's a natural thing. I mean,
Peter. Again, the same thing
everyone
applies.
does it. You might be surprised, but this is how you get kids.
So,
It's the only way.
Peter, I also have women friends. Now, it doesn't mean that I am always looking for a pleasure point with them or anything. What I'm saying is, it all depends upon, just as you mentioned. You mentioned that you have many friends, women friends, who you talk sex with, right? So it's perfectly fine because you are a well-intended guy. You are not crazy or someone who is going to hurt women and stuff like
Well,
that, right?
you
There are
don't,
people who hurt women,
Salman,
don't they?
you don't know anything about
And
me,
there are women who hurt men.
because I could tell you about my living situation, and then your opinions might differ, because uh, I am in a polyamorous
Mhm.
relationship. So
Yeah, and I just want to add one point that Mubarak talked about, and Mubarak talked to me about women were seen as a commodity in Islam back then.
yes,
That's what Mubarak point is. So Mubarak, I know all these arguments. I've been there, done that. Let me tell you what happens. If Prophet Muhammad was the likes of those people that you just mentioned. He was most in love with Hazrat Aisha. Uh,
The
so
child bride.
she never was hit. She was never, Prophet never hit her ever. He never hit her, his own. You can say the servant. So the thing is,
Yeah,
why he didn't do it?
yeah.
The he
He
didn't do
didn't.
it.
Just a minute before you finish your sentence. He didn't hit his 9-year-old bride. He didn't do anything. He didn't hurt her. He didn't harm her, but he had sex with a 9-year-old bride. That's right.
No, no.
Yes, it is.
Let me tell you.
Yeah,
I knew you would come there. I knew you would come there. So
because she
that's the
said
reason
so.
I said no. I knew you gonna come there. That's why I said
She,
all this.
you know the
Now
hadith
I'll tell you.
when she
I'll
talks
tell you. Yeah,
about
I'll tell
cleaning
you.
after he done his deeds. She's
I'll
she
tell
wa-
you. I'll tell you. Hold on.
okay.
Hold on. You just okay. Wait. And now it's my. Let me hear me out. Okay. Just as you said, she was 9 years old. There is now the problem here is, listen very carefully, please.
Yeah.
The prophet's companion Abu Bakr had two two kids, two daughters. One of her name was Asma, the other one
Yes.
was named Aisha, right? Asma was 28 years old in one Hijri,
Okay. Yeah.
right? A- and Aisha was 10 years younger than Asma. She was 18 years old in one Hijri. She was 19 years old on second Hijri when she was married. Now this is thing you can research yourself. Now the thing is, in the old days, people, the women especially, used to hide their age because of hijab. They used to say I am 6, 9, stuff like that, because
Wait.
they
No, no,
wanted
no,
to
no,
keep
no, no, no. No, wait,
their
wait.
purity.
No,
On their
wait.
age.
No, 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 no. Here's the thing. Hijab was not a thing until after the Hijrah, and until
Wait,
after
wait, wait, wait.
Muhammad,
Hold on.
until after. It wasn't a thing before.
Mubarak, 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 that's not what I said. I said the
Yes, you
word
did. Yes, you
hijab
did. You
means
said
that.
she was
Yeah,
hiding her
listen,
age because of hijab.
listen. Okay. Listen, my friend, listen. My friend, listen. My cute friend, listen. She, she what I meant to say by the word hijab is not the clothing. I'm saying people used to cover the facts back then. That's what I was calling hijab. Now she used to, or any woman at that time used to say I am 7, I am 6, I am 9, to say 19, to say 18. The problem was that back then it was a matter of shyness. That's the whole problem here. Now, see, my if you go to the ages of Asma and Aisha, you can look it up on the internet. What was the age of Aisha? She was 28 on first Hijri, and Aisha was 10 years younger than her. Now, the marriage consummated on the second Hijri. The marriage, if you look at when was the marriage of Aisha consummated, you will get. Uh, So, my friend, a lot of things have been screwed up. That's
Okay.
the whole
You're
point
talking
here.
about. I will tell you. The hadith said that Muhammad got in the dream about Aisha. You know the hadith, and he went to her dad, to Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr said,
Mhm.
she's 6 years old. She's too young to get married. He didn't say she's
Nope,
16. He said she's 6. She's
nope.
too young to get married. And then
Look,
he said to her that is that you could see her. I will send her to you to see her because Muhammad insisted on it.
now, no, Mubarak, let me correct you here. Now, you are my brother. You will listen to me, okay? There are two instances that Abu Bakr has said these things. Two instances in hadiths. I've read all of the hadiths about this. There are two instances. In one of them, Abu Bakr said, "How can you marry my daughter? I am like your brother." That is one instance. The other instance is when when Prophet said, "Give her hand to my in my marriage." Then also in that instance also he denied because of the previous engagement with someone else of Hazrat Aisha. Now, my question to you is, if Aisha was really 6 years old or 5 years old or whatever, how can she be, how can she have someone, a relation before also? She was
Engagement
she was
doesn't mean
engaged with someone
relationship.
before.
Engagement
She was
doesn't mean
engaged with someone
relationship
before.
because she is an object to be traded for. So a man could meet with another man and tell him, "I will marry you, my daughter, for such and such amount, or for treatment, or for trade."
Oh my God.
I know that
No,
thing.
Mubarak.
Plus, no, no, no.
Can you
I
even imagine,
will put.
Mubarak? Can you
Hey,
even imagine a father thinking that her daughter is a commodity? Come
yes,
on, man. You
yes,
grow up, man.
yes, yes.
Come on, grow up,
When
man.
yes, and you know you're a
She,
businessman, okay? You're a businessman. You're
she,
someone wealthy
yeah,
enough. You could go to any family who is poorer than you and say, "I will give you such and such amount for your daughter. We'll marry your daughter." You don't buy, but you're marrying her, and you'll give them money. You'll spend money on them. Well, they say no, no matter how age.
yeah.
In Islamic countries, they will not say no because they know in their mind the way they look at it. That's the goal. That's the object. It's for a woman to be sold as a wife. But in Sahih Bukhari and in Sahih Muslim, in the hadith about from Aisha herself, that says the Prophet had married me when I was 6, and he consummated the marriage when I was 9 years old. He did. It's not
And I
16 and 19. If you say
and
she was if you say she was 18 when Hijrah, and then he married her when she was 18 after Hijrah, 19. That means that Muhammad tried to marry her before Khadija died, and that did not happen. And because we know it didn't happen, Muhammad said, I didn't see any woman beside Khadija until she died. So the timeline
Mubarak,
don't line up here for you.
Mubarak, listen. The
Hmm.
when Khadija died, a woman by the name Khola came to the Prophet and offered two women for the marriage because Prophet was all alone and he had kids at the home. Now I want to ask you one question. Will you bring a third kid in your house to protect your kids? Well, you
See,
have kids at your home and a woman is coming, Khola is coming and saying that
uh-huh,
I have
uh-huh.
offer for two women. One of the women is
But
Aisha,
he
the other
didn't. He
woman
didn't.
is Sauda. The other woman is Soda and the other woman is Aisha. Now you tell me, how is it possible that Prophet would have said, okay, I want to marry Soda first, then after 1 year he married Aisha, then Aisha would have been 6 or 7 years old. How is it possible? Will he bring someone, a kid at home to take care of the kids? The Sola wanted his kids to be
his
protected
daughters. His
at
daughters
home.
are older. His daughters are older than Aisha, and some of them been married by that time. You know that.
No, they were not.
Yes. Yes.
Read the history. Read, my friend. Read the
Read
history.
the history. Uh, Fatima is the
Ali,
only one he
and
had. Fatima is the only one he had at that time because all the other ones have been married.
no. There were
Yes,
even his sons there. Qasim and Ali, they were there.
they
That's the
dead
problem.
by that
See, the
time. They were
problem is
dead.
you don't know.
Yes, they're dead by that time. Qasim died.
When the Asim died, but two kids were there still. The
Who,
men,
who,
the boys, they were
who,
still there.
who?
See, 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 see. You just
Who's
said
are the other
that
men?
women were
Who are
thought
the
of
other
as
men?
Qasim. There was one Qasim, I think, and there was one more. Two kids there.
Yeah,
So
but
there
you
were
don't
two
know
kids,
because the other kid,
and
the other kid is Ibrahim, and Ibrahim was the son of Maria, the Coptic, and she was a concubine after he went to Medina. So you mixing timelines now.
it's not mixing. Listen. if somebody comes to you, okay, Mubarak, I think you have spent a lot of time without a wife. Would you like to marry this woman, and this woman, will she bring a relationship with a 6 year old? You tell me. Can somebody? Does it make sense?
Hey, I the
Okay.
the the
Okay.
hadith you refer to exactly, I'm not sure of, because I have to study the hadith, the isnad and the khlas. But the other hadith that from Aisha herself talk about the age. I would
My
take the
brother,
word, I will take the hadith and the age of Aisha from herself than taking it from someone else.
my sweet brother, listen.
Maybe
If
maybe
let's
maybe
say,
I
let's
can
say,
jump in here because we can spend hours about whatever age it was. I think it's pretty much well known that whatever you're going to stick on, it was too young. And you Salman said that he didn't abuse Aisha. If he married her when she was 6, then he abused her because he took away her entire youth. She didn't get to grow up.
and that's what I'm saying.
She had to become
Not
a wife. She had to become a wife at age 6. To me, that is child abuse. Things you might be
Yeah, but
thinking
didn't I
different
tell you that?
about this, but to pretty much everyone in the civilized world, that is child abuse. No matter
And
whether
I have to
you
Didn't I
say
tell
something.
consummate
you
the
that?
marriage or not, it is still child abuse.
No,
Yeah,
didn't I tell you that? Didn't I tell you that she was not 6 and 16? And did I not
yeah,
prove
yeah.
you from
I mean,
Asma's
it
age?
doesn't. It does. It
Her,
matter?
her
Does it
sister.
matter? Does it matter if she was 6 or 9
You
when
can
they
look up
married?
the age.
Does it? Does it really matter? It is
No,
still child
16.
abuse. If she was
Peter,
12
Well,
or
Peter,
13 and they married,
Peter,
it is
Pe-
still child
Peter,
abuse.
Peter,
yeah,
get the fact straight. I'm not saying that. Why should I defend something I'm not saying? See, she
and
was
that's the
16 when married and 19 when consummated. That's what I'm
That
saying, and you can look
that
it
is
up. I'm
that
not
is
the only
patently
one who
not true.
researched this.
Hold on, Salman. You can tell whatever you want, but that is patently not true. If you ask Islamic
Spend
scholars,
some time,
if
sir.
you ask
Spend some
Islamic
time,
scholars, the
sir. Spend some
consensus.
time.
Hold on. If you ask Islamic scholars, the consensus is that she was anywhere between 6 and 9 years old when she got married, and that she wasn't 13-year-old before the marriage got consummated. So this is according to scholars. You might think differently because you might have, I don't know, an agenda to believe differently. I don't know.
No,
But
if
here's the thing,
I'm
and
not
I
saying
want
that
to rein
most
it
of
back.
if
Hold
you're
on, time out. I want to rein it back because if you read the Quran, all of this is just allowed. It is allowed in Islam. It is no problem. What I'm still curious about is why do you believe the Quran? Because that's a question that you haven't answered yet. Why you said you studied different
yep,
religions?
that's
What made you think
yeah, yeah.
that the Quran had any truth in it, that was the word of the God?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Thank you for bringing this up. Okay. So I was researching, as I told you, the Eastern religions. I was looking in Buddhism and Taoism, and I prefer to stay in the present moment and be optimist, and a lot of good things, meditation and stuff. Um, so in my heart, still there was a need for God. That is why I was more into Taoism than Buddhism. So the version in Taoism is that there is a flow, there is a way that you have to abide by to live a perfectly good life, and that will stay with you for eternity, right? So those sort of things made solace in my heart, like I was comforted with that thought. But I had to say that what good is a God who has not conveyed any message to me, or tell me that you have to do certain things. I could be doing anything. I could be saying incest is okay. I could be saying that raping you is okay, or stuff like that. Now, I know the argument that morality is not necessarily only driven from religion. That is not my point. My point here is that some objectivity is what will make sanity out of me. I would not be happy with myself unless I figure this out for myself. So I studied other religions. Then when I found there is scientific pointers in the Quran, which if you look at the discussion me and Mubarak we had, it was a wonderful discussion
Okay,
we had
I
like
I know.
a
So
week ago, two
before
weeks
we go
ago.
there, you made a really good point.
Yeah, yeah.
What good is a God
Mm-hmm.
that can't give you a message? Do you know of any God
Yep.
who has written any kind of message himself? Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware of any. What good is
Mm-hmm.
good is a God
So if
who needs fallible men who might misunderstand him, might
mm-hmm.
write down his words the wrong way? What good is a God who
Mm-hmm.
can't deliver that message himself?
Yeah. So if you want to make sense of it, let's say that God has two. Let's imagine for a moment. Let's forget even God. Let's just imagine the way the things are in the world.
No.
There
I
is a
would
yin,
really
there is
like
a
you to
yang,
answer my
right?
question.
Yeah, yeah. I'm getting there. It's just gonna take 2 more minutes. So just as in the universe, there are two things: yin and yang. In the same way, there is up and down, there is night, day, there is
Oh,
potential
in the
kinetics, there
universe,
is
there's no up and
gratitude,
down.
patience.
Hold on,
So,
time out, because you're mixing everything up now.
in the whole,
Before we go to the universe,
hold on.
what good is a
Not
God?
not with
No. I asked you a question and I asked you to answer it,
yeah,
not
yeah,
elaborate about what you think
yeah.
is in the universe, because there are definitely more than two things in the universe. There's no yin, there's no yang. Those are not in the universe. There's no up, there's no down, there's no left, and there's no right in the universe. Those are things that we
Mm-hmm,
constructed on our Earth to explain to
mm-hmm,
people where we're going. So, but let's get back to the question: what good is a God that can't
yeah.
leave His own word but needs a fallible man to write it down?
So about the Quran, it was the angel Gabriel, inspiring Muhammad,
So,
and
not the
this
word
is
of God.
how the message got down.
No.
That is how the
Now you're
message got
confusing
down, right?
things. Now you're
Now,
confusing. Now you're
now,
confusing
but
things
you listen, Peter.
because
But you have to
now you're
find
making
meaning,
it
Peter.
worse.
Everything has meaning in the world, right?
But you're making it worse.
Everything in the world has meaning,
I'm
Peter. Everything
saying
in the life
by
has meaning,
your own
correct?
standards, you're making it worse, because if the angel Gabriel inspired the Quran and told Muhammad about it, so that's a third party in the chain, whereas the Bible supposedly is directly inspired by God. So if you're going to go by a standard, what good is a God who can't leave his word? Um, Apparently, Allah didn't leave his word. He had someone tell things to a fallible human who wrote it down, and none of us can be
Hmm.
certain whether or not this is actually the word of a God. Which gets me back to the
All
question:
right. So
what good is a God who
Mhm.
cannot provide you with his word himself without the use of an angel, without the use of a man? Because a God
Mhm.
could imprint it in your brain, so everyone would have the entire Quran memorized the moment they're born. For a God, that would be peanuts.
Mhm.
Why
So you are
why
expecting
don't we
God to
have
come on.
any God like
uh,
that?
yeah, so Peter, I understand your question. Can I answer now?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Okay. All right, so are you expecting God to come over the White House building and tell he's God and everybody should
Nope.
believe him? Are you expecting that?
No, because
Just a
I
genuine question,
I
very
don't
genuine.
think gods exist, so I'm not expecting any god to come over the White House. And even if a god would come over the White House, I would suspect that some Christians in the U.S. were using some kind of projection method to make that happen. Because I live in the Netherlands, I don't
Yeah,
care what
rightly
comes
so.
over the White House as long as not Trump going into the White House anymore. Because we've done that.
Yeah, you have a very genuine thinking. You have a very good understanding, right?
Mhm.
Now, why would why would a god come to me directly if he has some messengers, some people who will bring down his message? It
And could get it
is
wrong.
not appropriate if you are expecting.
And
No, but they didn't got it wrong. That's the point. Why the Quran has not changed then?
let
If
me
it
ask you.
is
Let me ask
wrong
you a
or it
Because
is
it
question.
has.
Let me ask you a
Because it
question.
has changed.
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Just a minute,
Mhm.
Peter. Before you ask question, let me explain something. The Quran have changed. It's not just changed the letters and the meaning, because what you're doing, you're trying to change it too. You're trying to add on to it understanding and translation. Um, so it has changed.
I've got a better question.
It's not.
Mubarak,
Yeah.
I got a better question.
Now,
Salman,
Mubarak,
hold on.
Mubarak, can I?
No, hold on.
Yeah.
I've got a better question. Salman, can you explain to me what hadiths are?
Hadiths are works of men collecting the sayings of the Prophet, and it is not word of God. That's why.
But
Word of
what is
God
a
is
hadith?
recitations
What is
by
a
His
hadith?
Messenger.
Why do people write hadith?
Hadith, hadith by the word itself, it means hearsay. What people hear from other people.
I know
That's
what
all.
it means. My question
That's the
is,
name in the lexicon.
why does Islam need hadiths? What do hadiths do for a Muslim?
First of all, says who. Second, the
Says
hadiths,
Muslims.
if they are
If
listen,
hadiths
not
were
all Muslims
useless,
agree.
hold on.
Not all Muslims
No.
agree.
Time
Not
out,
all Muslims agree that all the hadiths are true.
time out. If hadiths were useless, we wouldn't have them. My question is, and the question you will not answer because you know what's going to happen if you answer honestly. My question is, what are hadiths to Muslims? What are they conveying in a hadith?
The hadiths are the examples of the Prophet based on the Quran. If he acted on something, then we will know about it.
It's
That's
not.
all. It's
That's
not. I'm
wrong.
not saying he's rejected.
That
Wait,
is
hold
whold
on. Now let me talk. I no.
That is
I
wrong.
want 30 minutes. I
I'm
30
just
seconds.
saying that is
No, but I
wrong.
want 30 seconds.
Do you want me to tell
Have I
you?
explained myself?
Do you
Have
want
I
me
explained
as
myself?
a non-Muslim tell you what a hadith is? An hadith is an interpretation of what Muhammad meant when he wrote down things in the Quran. Those are explanations based on personal interpretation of the text. Am I correct? Yes or no?
Okay, you want to hear?
Am I
Do
correct?
you
Yes
want
or
to
no?
hear from
It's a
me, or
yes or no. It's a
do
yes
you
or no
want to
answer.
hear
It's a
from?
yes or no answer, and I will press this. Am I correct? Yes or no?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So when you said that the Quran is the word of God
Mhm.
brought to
Mhm.
Muhammad by the angel Gabriel, right? Muhammad had it written down because he couldn't write. So there was a fourth person now. We're up to four before the word gets to you. And now we need hadiths
Mhm.
from people who weren't there, who didn't talk to the angel Gabriel, who might not even have talked to Muhammad, and they're interpreting the text in order for you to understand what the text says. And you're saying, what good is a God who can't leave me his word? By definition, Islam is the worst of any religion that you could have, because you need not just Muhammad and the angel Gabriel, but you need tons of people who write hadiths in order to explain to you. And those are contradicting as well. There are contradicting hadiths. So who are you going to believe? Or are you going to just make it up yourself and make your own hadith? This is according to your standard, it's the worst religion ever to pick.
Can I speak now?
Sure.
But I would like no interruptions. I didn't say anything. You won't do the same.
Please respond
Right.
to what I just said.
First of all, I didn't say that the hadiths are all hadiths are wrong. I am not a hadith denier. First of all. Second of all,
That's also not what I said.
I spoke in the introduction, I told you.
That's not what I
In the
said.
introduction, I told you that Quran. Peter, that's interruption. I can't.
Yeah, but
continue like
if you're
that.
going to
It's
no,
no use.
I hold on. Here's the thing. I
mean,
am going to
Tell me,
interrupt.
you tell me
I
if you're not
am
gonna
going
listen,
to
how I'm
interrupt.
gonna make
No, no, time out. I'm going to interrupt if you misinterpret what I just said. I did not say all the hadiths are wrong. I said there are contradicting hadiths, which means that at least one of them is demonstrably wrong, because if they're saying opposite things, they can't both be right. Now, I want you to respond to what I said. I don't want you to respond what you would have preferred to have me say, because I didn't say any of this.
Okay.
You put down a standard. You said, what
thank
good
you.
is a God that can't leave us a word? Now, you picked the religion that is by far the worst when it comes to a reliable word of God. Because you've got the angel Gabriel,
Peter,
who
for
heard
the-
it from Allah, and then he conveyed it to Muhammad, who then had to memorize it, and then had to run to a scribe to have it written down. And after that, we needed the fourth party, which is the people who wrote the hadith, which are multiple people, who then probably got it wrong, because if they didn't, you couldn't have contradicting hadiths, and you couldn't have different factions of Islam based on the same book, yet believing different things. So what good is a God
Thank
who
you.
can
Thank you,
leave
Peter,
you a
for that
message that is so up for interpretation that no one can make sense of it?
Yeah. Now, I want to just stay on this point that you just said, so that you don't feel I'm distracting.
Okay.
You just mentioned about hadiths. Many people believe them, and there are many contradictory hadiths. Now, just when I started my intro, I said very clearly, only Quran is the word of God. It is the only mizan. Right and wrong are decided through Quran. If any hadith is not going to match with Quran, then we're going to not accept that hadith. That's the ruling in hadith. It's not me saying. It is any hadith writer, he knows that rule. It's a rule in hadith sciences. Now, hadith, since they are not word of God, I'm saying, why not we expand on Quran and see everything in Quran, whether it's scientific or not, just as we had before the discussion with Mobarak. So that will prove the divinity of Quran. I want to focus on Quran more than hadith, because hadiths are work of men. And just as Mubarak mentioned a few minutes before, he mentioned that Quran has changed. Quran has not changed, my friend. The dialects of the Quran are different. There are people who have read Quran differently, who have written those Qurans. It doesn't mean that Quran has changed. Quran has always stayed one. It is only the dialect, and the dialect is very minimal. Like Malik, sometimes it's called Malik. Now Malik means the owner, the Malik means the sovereign. Now these are small changes that people have done. It doesn't mean that it makes any change to the rulings, or to the whole text of the Quran. Show me any verse that changes the meaning
I'm curious.
of the Quranic
Salman,
verse of any.
Salman, honestly, I'm curious. You're not going to address anything of what I just said? because you just brushed it aside and
See,
said, let's not look at the hadith. So great. I mean, we don't have to.
but my
But
friend,
my
my dear
question
friend,
to
Peter,
you, my
my dear
question to
friend,
you was
yeah.
clear, and it was based on your standard.
Mm-hmm,
So now you want to shift
mm-hmm,
away from your standard. Probably your standard isn't
mm-hmm.
good enough, because I just pointed out that by your standard, the Quran would be the last book that you would choose. But we can go on to whether or not there is science in the Quran. So why did
Yeah.
the Quran get every single thing it says about science? Every single thing. Why did it get every single thing wrong? Demonstrably wrong.
Before
Yeah.
we go
So
before we go to the science and Quran, before we
Go
go to
ahead.
the
Go ahead.
science and
Go ahead,
Quran,
Mobarak.
uh, um, when you go and study the Quranic studies, the tradition narrative, there are different Qurans. There is Ibn Mas'ud, there is Ibn Abbas. All of them had their own Quran, separate from the standard Uthmanic Quran. You know that.
there are different dialects, as I said.
No, no, no,
If
no, no,
let's
no.
say,
Totally different
let
ayat,
me give you an
totally
example.
different. Yeah, it's different Quran. You know that.
Show me one. Just show me
Huh?
one. That's all. Just one.
Have you ever heard about the
Just
Quran of Ibn Mas'ud?
one ayah that changes the
Uh,
complete
eh,
meaning.
okay. Have you heard about the Quran of Ibn Mas'ud?
I haven't, but you can tell me.
Okay.
You can
Ibn
show
Mas'ud
me. Yeah.
was called coined by the Prophet to be the translator of the Quran, to be the most adamant about the Quran. Okay, and he had a copy of a Quran from the Prophet, according to him, from the Prophet. He copied himself from the mouth of the Prophet to the pages of his book. When Uthman asked him to change it, he said no. And he said, referring to the Quran, فَلْيَغْلُ الْكُلُّ مِنْكُمْ كُلُّ وَمَنْ غَلَّ سَيَأْتِي بِمَا غُلَّ. So whoever stole from it will bring it down. And he said, I'm going to keep this one. He did not say that the Quran that Uthman had is wrong. He said, no, this one should not be destroyed. And if you look up the Quranic studies, you will find references to the Quran of Ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Abbas. All of them refer to like two things. And then we have the hadith where there's parts of the Quran have been missing. According to Aisha, that after the death of the Prophet, an animal came through, or a buck, yeah, I think it's an animal came through and ate part of the Quran, ayat,
Mhm.
and people did not. And from those ayat were the breastfeeding numbers, and if I'm not mistaken, is the stoning of adulterers. And to this day,
Mhm.
in Islamic Sharia, if you go and read an Islamic Sharia, the stoning is not in the Quran, it's in those ayat have been missing, have been lost. So the Quran have changed. Not just little languages. Not I advise you. You said you don't know about it, so we're not gonna go too far into it. But I advise you to go and see. And we have a modern copy that we know. It's called the San'a palimpsest. It's very famous right now. I think it's the first one that they found, where it's an old Quran that have been washed off. It's like they had the writing down, and then they washed it off and put a new Quran that had different words on it. And there's differences in writing. They had differences in language. They had differences in wording, and totally changing
Mhm.
some words. So I that will be the end of the change for it from my side. But I advise, if you're not familiar with
So
it, to look into it.
just 10 seconds to just respond this, then we move on to the science. No?
Yeah.
My friend Mobarak, I already made a point here that hadith I do not take as word of God. I already explained this is not a word of God. If it says something, it can be an interpolation by a culture, by some people who wanted some advantage. You know that. Do you know the history of Islam? People have injected a lot of hadith which do not, do not uh, which do not match with the Quran. I mean, it should have matched with the Quran, all those hadiths. Many of the hadiths do not. See, for example, the aggressive wars are not permitted in Quran. According to Quran, there is no way a Muslim can start a war. You know that? Not even possible. Now the Abbasids and the Umayyads, what did they do? They brought the scribes. They said, okay, write this hadith and show that the Prophet also did this, so we can also do this. So we have to understand things that people have messed up with this religion. We can't very naively say that it's not a possibility. It is a possibility, my friend. That's my only contention here. Now we can move to the Quran in science. If you want to talk, we can talk about that. If you remember, we started with solar system and everything. If you want to change the subject, if you want to change it to evolution, or if you want to change it to mention of black holes or anything like that, we may have that as well. So I have researched all these topics. Black hole, mention of supernova,
I'd be curious.
the
I'd be
mention of
curious,
solar system, and
Salman, for people who haven't
yeah,
seen
sure.
the other show, as I said, it is linked down below in the description, and I urge everyone that it is 3 hours long. It's a long
Yeah.
show, but people who want to
Yeah.
go and watch it, it is. I haven't made it through the entire thing yet because I still get torn away when I'm watching it. But
Mhm.
so if I were to ask you the best scientific
Mhm.
claim in the Quran, what would you say that would be? One that we can
Yeah,
verify.
that's Peter. Thank you, brother, for bringing this up. I can tell you the verses, and you can look it up. And all three of us, we can look it up one by one. So my most favorite one is the solar system. Mention of the solar system. If you want to go that path, I can go that path. If you want to change the subject and want anything else other than what we discuss in Aaron Ra show, as
Well,
people will already
here's
be
the thing.
seeing that show.
Here's the
So
thing.
it's
So
better to
Salman, in on our show, you were able to show your I think it was a PowerPoint presentation.
yeah.
But in your own words,
Yeah,
could you tell us what the Quran says and how this lines up with science? You don't have to be perfect. In your own words, can you tell us what the Quran says about the solar system?
Sure, brother. Sure, I will do that. I will do that. So the verse is 41:9. 41:9 mentions that have you not will you disbelieve in a God who created the earth in two periods? And this is 41:9, and then there is a 41:11, sorry, 41:12. 41:12. So if you look up 41:12, it says the seven heavens, which I have translated as seven classical planets, which I actually proved in the previous debate, is actually also mentioned as two periods.
Okay,
So
so let's
we
stick
know
with
through
let's
science that
hold
the
on,
earth was
hold on.
created.
Time out. Otherwise, it's going to be a gish gallop, and we need to address the points that you just said. So
Mhm.
when the Quran says heavens, that word actually means planets.
Mhm. No.
Okay, and so planets actually means not planets.
No, Peter, let me
According
explain
to
so
you.
that
Okay,
it's
hold
very
on.
clear.
I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
asking according
I
to
will
you
explain. I
because
will explain.
I saw the show.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw the show. No, time out.
No, you are very.
I saw the show, and you said heavens
Mhm.
means planet, and then you said planet
Mhm.
doesn't mean planet. Because
Mhm.
in your
Um,
listing of planets, you had at least one star
mhm.
and one moon, and you left out all the other moons in the solar system. So for some reason, you picked one moon, which isn't even the biggest moon, but you picked the one closest
Mhm.
to Earth, probably because that was the only one people
Mhm.
could see back then, because Allah didn't know about the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
moons that are bigger than our
Mhm.
moon, which could be more of a planet than the moon who isn't a planet, because it's a moon, which is not a
Yeah,
planet, it's a satellite. So
yeah.
heavens means planets, and planets doesn't mean planets, because you can flip the moon and the sun in there as well, and then leave out a planet. So
Mhm.
that part
You are a
didn't.
very thoughtful
That
person,
part.
Peter.
That
Yeah,
part. That part
yeah.
didn't. Hold
You
on.
are a,
Hold on. That part didn't
yeah.
work.
You can yeah.
But
Can I respond now?
well,
Can I
here's my
respond?
question. Here's my question to you. Here's my question to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even though all of that was
Yeah.
wrong, how come that people didn't get all of that from the Quran, but it was already known hundreds of years before? Because people studied the planets
Mm-hmm.
that you listed were already known at the
Right.
time that the Quran was written. So there was nothing new in the Quran.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
obviously it would line up with the science of that day. Now we know better, but it's clearly
Mm-hmm.
man-made. There's nothing divine in it, because there's no revelation in that particular uh, construction that you made
Yeah.
that lines up
Yeah.
either with science or with reality. It only
Yeah.
lines up with what people
Mm-hmm.
could see without a telescope back then.
Mm-hmm. First of all, thank you very much for bringing this up. And Peter, you are a very thoughtful person, an intelligent person.
Thank you.
This is the right approach. This is a very good approach that you have taken. Now, just please hear me out what I want to say about this. So, seven heavens and the word heavens, these are two separate entities. Imagine them as a separate thing. Now, for example, if I say seven heavens, if you go to the times of Greeks 3,000 years ago, you say anywhere, you say seven heavens, they're not gonna scratch their head and think that this is some heavens which are seven. They know what you are referring to. Okay, it's like a popular name or popular word for a conjunctive verb for something to explain something like seven heavens. But whenever the Quran says heavens, it doesn't refer to these planets because that word is not related to this. It is the problem in our brain, not in Quran. Like for example, seven heavens, it mentions clearly and then says among them are sun and moon. So my whole point was here, nothing, no exaggerations. My point was, it is Noah who was talking about these in his time to his people. Why would he talk about some etherical or otherworldly heavens? Believer disbelievers don't even understand those
I
things.
can answer that.
Why
I
would
can
he
answer.
talk
I
about
can
those
answer
things?
that. I can answer that. He wouldn't,
Sure,
because he
sure.
didn't
Go
exist.
ahead, please.
Noah didn't exist. Noah didn't exist. The Noah in the Bible didn't exist. The Noah in the Quran also didn't exist. It was a retelling of an earlier story, which they exaggerated to make their religion more impressive. But Noah didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
He's entirely fictional. So
Yeah.
whatever Noah said was something that a human said, which also brings it back to the easiest explanation. They were talking about what they could see, and they got it wrong. And why did they
Right.
get it wrong? Because it talks about
Mm-hmm.
seven heavens in layers, which means that
Mm-hmm.
those seven
Yeah.
heavens all orbit the earth. And we know that that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
All those layers orbit the
Yeah. Sure.
sun,
Yeah. You're
except for the moon,
Yeah.
who orbits Earth. So you can't have those 7 layers as 7 layers
Mm-hmm.
from Earth perspective. So
I
that's another
understand.
thing that the Quran demonstrably got wrong.
Mm-hmm. So in response to that, uh, the 7 heavens in layers, among them sun and moon, was the science of those days. That's all. It's what people knew. They didn't know any better.
No,
You can say
no,
that.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, they
Now
did.
the
Oh, no,
point
no, no,
about
no, no, no.
now the
Time out,
point
time out, time
now
out. No, no, I'm not
yeah,
going to accept this
yeah.
because Eratosthenes was the first one to figure out that the Earth rotated around the sun, which was, I think
True.
it was 300 BCE, which
Good.
makes it, which
Good.
makes it, which
When
makes
it's
it, which makes it 1,000 years before the Quran was written. We already knew
beautiful.
that that didn't work, and yet the Quran, after 1,000 years of knowing that the Earth orbits the sun, the Quran still got it wrong.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for telling me that. Now, you mentioned 1000 years before Christ, yeah, BC,
No, no, no. I
or
said
600
300. I said
BC.
300
Or
BCE because we don't use the
okay,
before
BCE.
Christ anymore. We use Common Era at these times because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the whole uh, time that was created, the years that were created based on the birth of Christ didn't even get the birth of Christ wrong. So we're
Yeah.
now talking about Common Era,
All right.
which is when we got the Gregorian calendar that we
Let's
still have today.
beautiful.
So
Yeah, 300. Can I,
that is
Peter, I want to go
that's
on
that's a
this
thousand
matter.
years before the Quran was. The Quran was written in the 7th century, right?
Yeah, 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 I know, I know. Can I respond now? Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
good.
Go ahead.
Okay. 300 BCE, you mentioned, was the discovery. Aristotelian science came, and we already knew that sun as the is the center and not the earth. I give you that 100%. I'm with you on this. But the story of Noah is even back then. It's not about Quran's revelation. It is the story of Noah. Noah is the one addressing the disbelievers. That's the problem. Noah is 3,000 years back. Noah is 1,000 BCE. That's the
Noah
problem.
didn't
That's the
exist.
problem.
That
Noah,
Yeah.
Noah,
Salman,
Noah was
Salman,
as
Noah
real.
didn't exist.
Yeah, Noah wasn't as real as Donald Duck.
Come
So
on.
Noah didn't say anything.
Mubarak just saying something doesn't make it true, man. Come on.
No, we know
Just
that
saying
we.
something
It's
doesn't
not
Exactly.
saying
I will say
anything.
the same to you.
It's not saying
Here's the
anything.
thing.
We know for a
doesn't make
fact. We know for a fact that Noah never
There,
existed.
uh,
We know that for a fact. How do we know that? Because of genetics. Every cell in your
not
body
this.
is testimony
Yes.
that Noah never existed. So it's not some person saying something. We know for a fact Noah never existed.
And we exactly know where the story of Noah came from and how
Yes.
it evolved through, because it's so the Islamic story. Well, let's take the Islamic story. The Islamic story came from the biblical story. The biblical story came from the northern Assyrian story. The northern Assyrian story came from the Babylonian story. The Babylonian story came from the Mesopotamian, the Sumerian story. So there is a chain of stories, and we know where the chain, where it's made up, because we could even see it in the slab where they put the time in before and after the flood. Where it's before the flood, it was mythical, and after the flood is where the time is begin. So we know that there was no Noah, because there's no message, nothing. They changed the story to fit their own gods. Every culture will take the story and will change it to fit their own god. So the Mesopotamian, where they had too many gods, and they were like, it's getting noisy, we're gonna flood. So they had one god being mischievous, and then the second, the
And there's a
Babylonian, they changed
reason.
it a little bit.
And there's a
Yeah.
reason why religions do that, because if they adopt part of an other religion, it is easier to convince the people from that religion to come over to your religion if part of the story is still there. That is what most religions over time have done and are still doing. Even if you look to the
Yes.
Mormons, they still take over
Uh,
stuff from
not
Christianity.
just the Mormons.
It's it's
Yeah.
it's
If you
every religion.
if you look at Islamic practices in every country is different. So every country they have shrines, they have special holidays, they have different things they do on different times. It's because when Islam came to this place, they found this holiday and they took it. So if you go to like Iran, they have the Nowruz, which is the New Year, the Iranian New Year, which is pre-Islamic, but they integrated it into Islam. They pushed it through to Islam. I'm pretty sure if you go to Pakistan, you will find shrines of saints and imams that probably connect before Islam even showed up. And the same thing in Arabia, you'll find shrines, maybe less now because the Salafis and the Wahhabis destroyed most of them, but they had shrines before Islam. The Kaaba was a shrine before Islam, and Islam integrate take it inside. So it's the idea of that this is the message from Allah without changing, it's not true because you could see it. If you go to Indonesia, they have different practices. So I could
And
go on about every Islamic
well,
country.
and we have someone in the side chat who's an historian and specializes in Egyptian history. Um, we have Egyptian history from before and after the flood, completely continuing a civilization, not even noticing the flood. So, and that's not just in Egypt. We have the same thing in China, for instance. They also missed the flood entirely,
Mhm.
and have a continuing history from before and after the flood. So, but I want to skip this part because we have about 20 minutes, no less. We're coming up to an hour and a half. Um,
Mhm.
so this doesn't work. This doesn't line
So
up. This doesn't line up with science. This
yeah. Mhm.
demonstrably doesn't line up with
Mhm.
science. Do you have another
Yeah,
example?
yeah, Peter. Yeah, yeah, Peter. I think that you are right in saying that so far what we have done to say that there are scientific things in Quran. You are very fair in saying that because right now, as we speak, we didn't talk about those things yet. So I want you guys to bring your attention to three verses, only three verses. I'm not telling you to do a lot of other research, just three verses. You can write these verses down if you want. You can just type them on your screen and it will show up. The one verse that I am concerned is 5038, 5038. The other one is 41:9,
Just to speed
and the
things up.
third one is
Just to
40.
speed things up. Because
Yeah,
as I said, we don't have a
yeah,
lot of time left. Why don't you tell us what
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
verses say and how this lines up with science?
Okay. Sure. Sure. So, Peter, the thing is that the verse 5038 speaking about the age of the universe being 6 periods, the age of the Earth being 2 periods in 41:9, and age of the seven classical planets being 2 periods long. So, 2 periods, 2 periods, and 6 periods. Now, if you divide 13.7 with 4.54, sorry, wrong division, 4.54 with 13.7, you're going to get the same ratio of 1 is to 3, which is 2 divided by 6, which shows that universe age is 6 periods and earth age 2 period matches here scientifically. And 2 periods for the planets also matches because all the sun, moon, mercury were formed at the same time as the earth, 4.5 to 4.6 billion years ago. Now this is two levels of proof, this is not one level of proof. The third level of proof is also there, but I don't want to take you there. 4110, which speaks about 4 periods. If people are interested in this, they can always click the link you just have in the description. So my whole point here is where are these numbers coming from? Why are they not wrong like 5 and 3 and 2? I mean, why they are matching with the scientific ages of these bodies? That's the whole thing
I,
that I wanted
I,
to
uh,
bring up.
I will tell you something,
But to
Salman.
in
Something.
the last one, you didn't address these numbers. You didn't address these numbers in the last debate even.
Yes,
I
I
don't know
did,
why.
and I told you. I told you
Please
your
come with
method
your
of calculating the age is wrong because you don't understand what the ayah said. The ayah said we have created Earth in 2 days or 6 days or whatever the yeah, create the Earth in 2 days. So or two period as you translate it. So that's the creation of Ayah of Earth. It's not the age of Earth. And I tried to
My
explain it
friend,
to you
didn't I
last
tell you
time.
the age? But I didn't.
You,
Hold on, hold
I
on.
told
Can
you
can
you
I
were
speak here?
wrong.
Can I speak here? Mubarak,
Yes,
Mubarak, you put a point. You put a point. I want to answer. I want to answer. You said
answer.
this does not relate to the age of the earth. You said it's creation of the earth that is mentioned. Why then you are counting age of the earth? But we finished the whole discussion on it. Remember, I explained you when you go to the house, you make a house using the lumber. You
Hold
go to
on.
the
Time
lumber
out. Time
yard.
out.
You bring
We're
the wood.
rehashing. We're
You
rehashing.
work
Hold
on
on.
it.
Hold on. We're rehashing Orange Show. So, here's the thing. And I'm saying that because people will notice. Here's the thing: is becoming a thing on Orange Channel because of a show that doesn't exist anymore, but that was a thing in the show that you had with Arn as well.
Yeah,
So,
everybody says that.
so what you said on Orange Show is that the Earth was created in two periods. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the universe was
Yes.
created in 6 periods. Is that
Which
correct?
yes, sir.
Okay. So the Earth, and I Googled this, the Earth formed in a time span of approximately 5 million years. Not 4.5 billion, 5 million years. That's how long it took for Earth to form. So if we divide that into two periods, then we have two periods of approximately 2.5 years. So how are we with the numbers
Can
now?
I?
How does it line up with the universe? Because the universe
Yeah.
is currently
Mm-hmm.
still creating new suns. Old suns die. So this is
Yes.
if you're going to say
Mm-hmm.
that it's a creation, it's still ongoing and it has been for
Mm-hmm.
13.7 billion years long. So if the Earth was
Mm-hmm.
created in two periods of 2.5 million years long,
Mm-hmm.
and the universe was created in six. I'm not really that good at math, but I'm pretty sure that 6 times 2.5 million is not 13.7 billion. If it is, then I need to go to the bank tomorrow and make a withdrawal because then I've got more money than I think I have.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend, let me explain this. So it's very easy. I want to put it very easily now.
Okay, go ahead.
13.7 is the age of the universe.
No,
The
no, 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 no,
13.7
no, no,
billion
no.
years
Oh,
is the age of
time
the
out.
universe.
No, I'm going to correct you because there are still new suns forming. So if it's a creation, then there are still things being created. So the creation is ongoing for the past 13.7 billion years. Because if the creation had been
Mm-hmm.
completed, then we wouldn't see no new suns, no
Mm-hmm.
new solar systems being formed, no new galaxies being formed. And we do see that. So we
So
need to
my
get the
lovely
math.
friend,
We
there
need
is
to get
no
the math
mention that
right. We need to get the math right. So the creation of the universe is currently at 13.7 billion years, but it's still ongoing. And that is 6 periods. And the Earth formed in two periods of 2.5 million years, which makes 5 million years. So I'm still not seeing the math of the two periods and the 6 periods.
all right. So Peter, can I speak just 1 minute complete?
Yeah, go
Then I
ahead.
won't speak more. 13 point. Uh, if you're saying new suns are created and everything, Quran didn't say that he completed the universe in, you know, he created. He said he created. If you create a house in 6 months, let's say, if you, does it mean that you cannot, you have stopped improving it? I'm asking you. Does it necessarily mean that?
That's an easy
If you say
question.
that I have
If you
completed,
build a
I have,
house in 6 months, then you have a
if you,
house. Hold on, time out. If you build a house in 6
yeah,
months, then you have a house. There's nothing you need to do to improve it. You have a house. The universe isn't
in
being
case of the
improved.
universe,
Hold on.
it is still
You're making the comparison. So the universe doesn't need any improvement. It is still being created, which is different.
yes,
We're not creating
yes,
outhouses
being
in the
created.
universe or putting a garage because we've got a second car. The universe
I
isn't
agree.
finished being created if it's created. So there's a difference.
Very good.
So
So yeah,
we started building a house 6 months ago and we haven't finished yet. If you want to make that analogy, we're still building, not a house yet.
yeah, yeah,
That's the comparison.
yeah. Let me say that I come to you on 30th July. I come to you on 30 June. I come to you. I say, Peter, how are you? You said, I am good. I ask you, Peter, what have you done? You say, I have created this house. Does it necessarily mean that Peter will not create more stuff on it after I'm gone?
You're still getting it wrong because in this scenario, and you say, "What have you done?" And I would say I'm in the process of building a house, but it's not finished yet.
But you can say I created this house, right?
No,
You will
because
say
I haven't created
it
it yet. I'm still
in
building.
the same way.
No. It's not finished, so I
In
haven't
the same
created
way,
it yet. I have parts that are created and parts that are still under construction
yes.
and parts that are still being planned.
True,
That parts that are going to be created in
true, my dear.
millions or maybe even billions of
I
years.
agree. True, Peter, you are right. You are 100% right.
So I would say in Earth terms,
is still in the process of creation because
in Earth terms, I would say that
yeah,
I'm in the process of building a house, but it's going to take me a few more decades to finish it. That's what I would say. And then that's the scenario that we have.
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you are right. So you are saying that the God should have mentioned that Earth is still not complete, but I created it in 2 periods. So you are saying that God should have
Earth is
mentioned
complete.
this.
Oh no! You get it wrong again. Earth is complete. Earth is finished in 5 million years. Earth is finished. We have a planet. There are things happening on the planet which has nothing to do with the creation of the planet. The planet is there. And if you go outside and you put your foot down, you can feel it. It's there. It's beneath you. It's finished. The universe is not.
Yeah.
The universe is still under construction. So it's not finished.
Why not?
Because there are still suns forming. There are still
finished. See, that's the point. He didn't say that he created.
You ask me a question and you don't listen to the answer.
Say the word completed.
Salman, you asked me a question and you didn't listen to the answer, and when I said the answer, you
but God didn't say completed. He didn't say completed. There is no completed.
He didn't say created.
There is no word completed in the verse. It says two. Yeah, created in 2 periods. In the same way, you have created a house.
Let me ask you a question. If he let me ask you a question. If he created the universe in 6 periods,
yeah,
did he create the universe in 8 periods?
No.
And 9.
When the
did he create it in 9 periods?
All the time that was.
I'm trying to get through to you. You need to think.
All the time that it took.
Salman, I'm trying to get through to you.
Peter, listen.
No, you're the one
Yeah.
that's not listening. The
Mhm.
Quran says he created the universe in 6 periods, according to you, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. So did he create it
Yes.
in
Yes, sir.
9 or 10 periods, or 11 or 8, 7.5?
He created in 6 periods. You yourself said
So
that.
he's
So
finished
why you are
creating
saying
it.
9 and 8
Time
and all
out,
this?
time out, time out. He's finished creating it, right?
Created in 6 periods, and there are 2 more periods coming till the death of the sun. That's what the verse 41:10
So,
says. It says clearly the
okay,
earth is destined for 4
great.
periods. You can check
So,
that verse. If
so,
you
oh, hold
see, the
on.
math
Time
is very
out,
clear
time
here.
out,
Math is
time
very
out. I'm trying
age of the
to
earth
follow
is
you.
to be counted with the mountain formation earth.
Okay, hold on. So he created it in
Mhm.
6 periods.
Yeah.
And how long is a period?
Mhm.
How long is a period?
2.25 billion years. If you divide 13.7 with 6.
Okay,
If you divide 13.7 with 6,
okay.
then you're gonna get 2.25 billion years.
But
If you
hold
multiply
on,
with 2, it is
Time out,
4.5.
time out. Didn't we just establish that
Yeah.
the Earth
Okay.
is finished creating, and that took 5 million years, and that was 2 periods. So 2 periods is 2.5
No, sir.
million years. Are there different
2
periods?
periods is how is 2? What number you are saying million? No, 2.5 million. Why you are saying million? We are not even
Because the
discussing
Earth,
millions here. We are discussing
we
billions
know,
here. First of all,
we
one
know.
period is 2.2.
Let me finish. We know that the Earth formed in approximately
Okay.
5 million years. So if that is 2 periods, then one
Okay.
period is 2.5 million years.
Mhm.
Am I mistaken?
Let me, sir. Yeah, sir. Let me explain you.
Explain.
My version of listen. My version. Then you can speak about
Go ahead.
your version. Okay. I am saying that when Quran says hello, when Quran says that the age of the earth is 2 periods, you have to see the when the revelation was made 1400 years ago, when God said he completed it, you have to count 2 periods from that time till the birth of the earth. Now earth,
But that's
planet and sun was
incorrect.
getting together to form the
Now
hot
you're
earth is
changing the
not the only
goalpost.
earth that was produced.
Now
Earth
you're
had other
changing.
stages also. Listen. Earth had other. Can you hear me out, please? One full point,
Yes, but
please.
you're moving
One
the
full point.
goalpost. You're changing your own words.
I am not moving the goalpost. You are not listening. You are not listening. Mubarak, I
Yes,
want to talk
you
to you
are,
about this.
because
Still, listen.
listen,
The Earth, the
the
formation of
Earth
the
didn't. The
you have
Earth.
to count. You have to count the mountain formation. Listen.
No, you don't
You
have
have
to
to
count
count
the.
the mountain formation.
No. You don't have to count the mountain.
You have to even
No,
count the
I have
you don't have to count mountains.
plants and
You don't have
Mubarak.
to count the seas. You don't
Mubarak.
have to count the living thing on it.
Mubarak. I have a simple
Why,
question.
Mubarak? You tell me why.
Salman,
If I say I
Salman,
completed something, I have
Salman,
completed it
Salman,
fully.
Salman,
I
listen.
have
No.
completed it with all these things.
Salman,
Yeah,
listen.
because they are separate from it.
Salman, listen. We have a perfect analogy, right? The building of a house,
Okay.
right? So let's say you have built a house, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you started building 6 months ago, correct? And now you have a house.
Yeah.
Is your house 13.7 billion years old?
Listen.
No, it's a yes or no
This
question.
house
It
analogy
is
was
no.
with 6
I'm
months,
trying
not
to explain
13.7. So
something
let's
to you.
correct that one.
Follow
No.
my lead. This is not
Why
a
you are
gotcha.
saying 13.7
This is not a
here? The
gotcha
house is 6
question.
months example.
This is not a gotcha question. I'm trying to explain how your way of thinking is fallacious. Because if you start building a house 6 months ago, And when the house is finished, it didn't take you 4.5 billion years or 13.7 billion years to build a house. It took you 6 months because you started 6 months ago. Same thing with the Earth. It started it started forming, and over a period of 5 million years, a planet formed. That doesn't mean that it took 13.7 billion years to form the planet. It also doesn't mean that it took 4.5 billion years. You're getting your numbers wrong. The creation, if there was a creation, the creation of Earth took 5 million years. And it started roughly, what is it, about 8 billion years ago? That's when the creation of Earth started. And it was finished after 5 million years. And then 4.5 billion years later, here we are. What you're doing is you're taking numbers and applying them in the wrong way. Because if you're going to go with what the Quran says, the Earth was created in 2 periods, which is 2.5 million years. There's no way around it. It doesn't matter that you only started after the universe had been here billions of years already. The creation of Earth took 5 million. The creation of Earth took 2 periods of 2.5 million years. If you're going to say that your Quran is scientifically correct, then your periods have to be the exact same amount of time, which doesn't work for the creation of the universe, which is still ongoing and has been taken 13.7 billion years already, whereas the Earth was created in 2 periods, which is 5 million years long. This is how you get your math wrong, and this is how you have deluded yourself in believing that there's something in the Quran that is correct when it is demonstrably, catastrophically wrong.
Peter, you have taken 3-4 minutes now. Can you give me just 1 minute last?
Yes, but you keep repeating the same thing, thinking that you will get a different outcome.
Well,
We've already passed the point.
Peter,
We've already passed the point where your Quran is wrong. So there's no going back. If I give you, if I would give you an hour, you would not get those numbers back.
It doesn't make sense to have a debate where you will speak and I will not speak.
I'm just saying, if you keep repeating the same numbers and you keep moving the goalpost, because now 2 periods are no longer 2 periods.
So you are the decider. So are you the decider of who's right?
No, I'm listening to what you say, and I'm holding a mirror up to you and showing you that what you said is demonstrably wrong. It's not about winning or losing. It is simple math.
Let's hear his point. I have something to say, but let's hear.
Yeah, I have to say we're already 45 minutes. Hold on. I have to say we're already 45 minutes over time. I would love to do this in an entire episode. If you want to come back and talk about this, I'm totally fine with that. We'll give it a few more minutes, and then we do have to end this because I need to prepare for another show that I have to be on shortly.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Mobarak, thank you for listening from me. Now, the 2 periods, if we are talking about house, we went with the analogy of the house, right? You said that house is created in 6 months. I'm going to say after 6 months, the house is created, right? The problem here is the house. When I brought the wood, I made the walls, everything was there, but I didn't finish. I didn't put the furniture. I didn't did anything in the house. I didn't made it better for living. I didn't made it livable. If I didn't made it livable, then how can I say that I completed the house in 3 months, let's say, or 2 months, let's say? I have to say, after doing all this, I will say 6 months. In the same way, Earth was livable for the humans, for the animals, for the plants, for everything. Every
When?
cloud and every
When was,
water
hold
and
up, time out, time out. I
everything
need to respond to
was
this.
in the process of
I need to
continuous
respond to this.
creation.
Oh, sorry, I need to respond to this. When was the earliest life on Earth?
Was cyanobacteria 3.5 billion years and 3.8 prokaryotes, the first prokaryotes. 3.8 billion.
Yes.
But those were not
So,
humans. Those were single-celled organisms only.
what, hold
Those
on,
were
hold on,
not
hold on,
perfect for
hold on,
livable
hold on.
human living.
No, no, no. Now you're moving the goalpost again. Because 3.8 billion years ago,
Explain.
3.8 billion years ago, Earth was ready for life and life emerged. So the Earth was finished for life, right? Because there was life. And
There
now
were
you
no
want to say,
planets.
and now you
There
want
were
to,
no
and
houses.
now you're moving the
Mountains.
goalpost again because it was not habitable for humans. Who cares? We're not special. We're just another
God
animal.
cares.
We're just an
God
animal,
cares.
another animal, and our niche is intelligence. That is the difference between us and any other animal. So, billions of years ago, when we didn't exist, there were organisms on Earth. It doesn't matter
There
whether
were,
or not it
yes.
was habitable for us. If we had been around in the time of the dinosaurs, it wouldn't have been habitable for us because we would have been eaten. It's that easy.
Peter, you are right. Peter, see, you are absolutely right. I'm not denying you. I'm not saying you are not making any sense. You are making sense. But hear me out. What I'm saying that when the Quran was revealed, God, when He said, "I created the earth in this time period, two periods," then it actually means that He is counting all the previous time for the creation of the earth, because this is when He said it that He created it. Why
If you
would He
go
say
by
that
that
He created
standard,
the earth in
if
15
you go
million
by
years?
that standard, it took 5 million years and then we're done.
4.5. No, your
No,
5 billion years figure is not right.
5
Go NASA.
million,
Your
5
best
million,
reliable source is NASA, right?
5 million, not
4.5
4.5,
billion.
not
5 billion, I
4.5
know.
billion.
You're talking about planet, but my friend, those are planetesimals getting together to form the early Earth, hot Earth. That is not livable Earth. That is not a creation
Salman,
of Earth. I'm
I'll
Wait,
get
wait,
explaining.
back
wait,
to
wait,
your
wait.
analogy.
Peter, just a minute, just a minute. I have a little thing. So you say, because just like, exactly like your analogies of the house, you will say that you keep creating the house or you making the house for a long period of time until your plan is finished. Is that correct, Salman?
Based on 4110, it means, yeah, based of 4110, it
I'm
means that
asking
it
you
is
about your
still in the
example
process
for the
of.
house. I'm asking, leave Earth for now. I'm asking you about the example for the house.
Yeah, yeah. You ask. Yeah, yeah. Mubarak, ask.
So you
Please
say
ask.
that you're continuing in building the house until the plan is finished. It's got like until your plan is finished. So that will take
Yes.
the age. That's how long did it take you to create it. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes. Exactly,
Okay,
exactly,
okay.
my friend.
Just
Yes.
a minute. I'll give it to you. Just a minute. You said that a creation of Earth is equal to the age because Earth is continuous and it keep building. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, okay. So you're saying that the finish Earth is not finished yet, so it's still in creation. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay.
Okay, okay.
Yes, it is
So
correct.
the final plan is when Earth stop being Earth. Like when is the final plan for Earth?
You said it.
After 2 periods, when sun giant becomes inhabitable, the earth becomes inhabitable due to the red
Okay.
giant sun, which is 4.5
Okay.
billion years in the future, which is again
Okay.
provable
Okay.
from the Quran 41:10.
Now it works.
Okay.
Now it works even less.
So you're saying, just a minute, Peter. So you're saying God still creating this earth for the sole purpose of destroying it. It's just sounding like you say, Mubarak, you are building this house just to burn it down.
We should, Mubarak. We should have a
Peter,
whiteboard. Hold on. No, time out. We should have a whiteboard
Wait.
because Salman just said, Earth will be finished, created in 2 more periods, which means that the 2 more. No, hold on. Time out. Which means that we've only had 1 period yet because he created it in 2 periods, but we now he's going from 2 to 4, so now we have the 4.5 billion years is now 1 period because we have another period to come, which was
2 periods.
2 periods.
No, not another. Another
Yeah,
2.
yeah, so-
Another 2.
Another
I said
2. Another 2. But your math
knows my argument better.
Your math is getting. Your math is
get.
No. Your math is getting wrong because he created the Earth in 2 periods, and then needs 2 periods more to create it. So he created it in 4 periods, but he didn't say 4 periods. He said 2 periods. See how you keep moving the goalpost in order to make your numbers fit.
Exactly. And if you add 2 period to the 6 period for creation of the universe, then you will end up dividing 8 on 4. You'll end up with half. Your ratio get out of whack when you start adding period. But the problem is
at the end of the 2 periods.
When I say
Listen,
Pete, here's a Peter. When I say I'm done creating my house, it doesn't mean when I destroyed my house. And that's the problem here. Salman saying that God's still building earth to a point when it's destroyed. And it doesn't make sense, Salman. It doesn't make sense.
Mubarak,
you either done building Earth, or you just gonna destroy it. Yes.
Speak yourself only. Can I speak now? Okay. Your age is 35, let's say. Your age is 35, let's say. You're gonna die at 70, let's say. Does it mean that you are not created for it? I mean, you were created. You had your life. You had your fun, right? And then you died, right? So why you have to say
using
God
using your
created and he will die?
No. So I'll use your example now. You used humans. I was created in 9 months. After 9 months, I was born. I was done being created. I grew, but I was not being created. I am full human being after my mother gave birth to me.
Earth is not a living thing. Earth is not a living thing, my friend.
You are the one who made the example, my friend.
But
here's Salman. If you're going down that line, Earth is also. If you're going down that line, Earth is also not a house. And let me ask you one question: if you build a house, right, and you take 6 months, and then you have a house. If no one is moving in, is it still a house?
It is, yes, it is a house.
Okay.
If it doesn't have furniture, is it still a house?
Yeah. If it doesn't have wallpaper, is it still a house? Yes. If it doesn't have any carpets, is it still a house?
I agree. Yes, it is.
Okay, so why
still a house.
why is it different for Earth?
Not different for Earth.
It is.
The point
according to what you said, it is.
Years ago, when God spoke about Earth, when I start speaking, you interject. What's the use here? Why?
But okay, I have no Quran handy, and this is why I ask you to tell me what you think. And you said Not my words, your words.
You are right in saying that. Mhm,
Now you're over talking me.
mhm.
You
You
said,
are right in saying.
you said,
You are
you,
right. You are right.
I'm still talking. You said, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Talk.
Allah created the earth in 2 periods. Those were your words, not mine.
Mhm.
And then when the numbers don't fit, you say, yeah, but he's not done creating. So he didn't create the earth in 2 periods. Now he supposedly created the earth in 4 periods. But that's not what the Quran says. The Quran says he created the earth in 2 periods, according to your words. I'm not saying what the Quran says or doesn't say. I'm saying what you say. You say the earth was created in 2 periods. When we're starting pointing out to you that it wasn't 4.5 billion years, it was in fact 5 million years, which is a lot less. Mm-hmm. Then you started talking, okay, but he's still creating because it takes 4.5 billion years because then it's done for us so we can live here. And then there's another 2 periods coming. You are constantly moving your goalpost. You say one thing, and then when the numbers don't add up, you start adding to your story, which is not what, according to what you said, the Quran is saying. So you're now reading into the Quran. Yeah, you're making up entirely new verses in order to make your numbers fit. And I'm not saying you can do whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want. It's not hurting anybody. It's hurting you because you're living a lie. If you are so stuck on this that you can't sit down with a piece of paper and note the correct numbers and then see whether or not your theory still holds up, and when it doesn't, then you need to abandon it. What you don't do is try and explain away what the Quran says in order to make it mean something completely different from what you started out with when you came up with this idea. This is your problem. And this is what we're trying to point out. We're not attacking you as a person. We're telling you that the math that you have doesn't work. Because you can't have 2 periods of 2.5 million years. And then for the universe, it means that it has to be 4.5 billion years. 2 periods are 2 periods. And so they work either for the universe, which they also don't because the universe is still under construction. And it will be under construction for eternity. So I don't know how you're going to split that up into two periods. But when you say the earth is created in 2 periods, then you have to have the same periods in order to make it fit. And according to science, that's not what happens. And you can now shift and say, okay, no, I'm not finished. You can shift and say, okay, but the Quran meant that he created it for us to be able to live on. Even that happened within 5 million years, because then we got a planet, then we got everything started, then we got life forming on the planet, which means that this planet was always destined for us to be on because we're here. So that was the same thing 4.5 billion years ago when Earth was formed. After it was formed, it was ready for us to inhabit it because we are here. This is how you have to look at things. You don't look from the top down, you look from the bottom up. And this is why your math doesn't work, and this is why the Quran got it wrong, and this is why the Quran doesn't line up with science. It gets everything wrong. We are half an hour over time, and I really have to end the my alarm is going. I really have to end the show because
in the end, Peter, I would say
because
to each their own. We can have our own beliefs. You can look up these verses yourself. I can
We can
look
do
up, and
we
we
can do
have
another
to make
show,
our own
Salman.
mind.
Salman, we can do another show, and then
Yes.
we can see whether or not you can bring your slides, and I will see if I can get
Yeah.
some kind of a whiteboard so we can note the numbers and see whether or not after checking the numbers if they hold up. I'm more than happy to try and do that. But
Yeah.
I need to get ready for my
And
next
we can
show.
also go through other topics, evolution and other topics as well, like supernova, black hole, and stuff. We can also do that if you want in the future discussions. That will be
It's
very
that is
enjoyable
up to you.
for each one of us,
That
because
is
we
up
are
to
all
you. If I told you
science.
if you come back for the second show, you can decide if you want to talk about evolution. Great, but we'll talk about evolution. If we're going to talk about black holes, I have no clue about black holes. I don't know how how good you are with black holes, Mobarak. I haven't studied that at all. I'm not a cosmologist.
I'm
No
not
worries,
a
Peter.
physicist, so I
You have
I
been
don't really know
awesome.
about it.
You guys have been awesome, especially both Mubarak and Peter. You guys are very intelligent people, understanding people, loving, kind people. I'm not against anyone, and I am not saying that. I'm just saying that I have found these miracles for myself. That's all. Like I've just found these amazing for myself, and I have seen that the world that the way things are, people have messed up things. That's the whole thing I'm talking. Like people have made things very hard on themselves, and
I agree.
it's good that people like you and me, we we can make it a beautiful world
Here's
at the end of the day.
here's my input on that. We've had a discussion. We strongly disagree, obviously. But Mubarak and I, we can still talk to you. We can still end on a friendly note, which is what the intention of our shows is. We don't want to create a dumpster fire. We don't want to call people stupid, because the moment you start with insults, personal insults, I think you've already lost the debate, because that all already disqualifies you from any discussion. We can all be wrong about something, and the reason we do these shows is that we need to check the things that we think are right and see whether or not they hold up to scrutiny, which is why we do these things. We want to make people think, and if we
Yes.
have in any way made you go over your numbers again and see whether or not they're correct, then we've already achieved our goal. It's we cannot convince you of anything else. You have to convince yourself the same way you've convinced yourself into becoming a Muslim. If that is not correct, if the Quran is not the word of the God, and if Allah is not a true God, then you have to convince yourself. The only way you can do that is to think outside of the box, to reevaluate your own claims and to look critically whether or not they hold up to scrutiny. That is why we do conversations like this. I really want to thank you for coming on. I enjoyed this conversation a lot. I mean, I saw the previous one, and it does get heated at times, and we all want to speak at the same time. And I'm probably the worst person in this group of three men when it comes to interrupting people, because it's something that I still am working
No,
on.
it's okay.
I'm getting better, but I'm also getting older and
you're very
more
good.
and
You're
more
very
more and more impatient. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. It's a problem. But I want to thank you for coming on.
no, you are good.
I wanna thank Mobarak.
Thank you
It
so much.
it was great seeing you again,
Guys.
Mobarak. We don't do enough shows to get everyone on, and for me, it's always a pleasure to have you on. For people who don't know who Mubarak is, he was part of the Quran lessons panel. That's where we met. Um, that was an awesome group of people,
Mm,
and I still miss that. I wish the Quran would have been
mm.
as long as the Bible, because then we would still be doing the show and still be getting together every Sunday, because that was a truly amazing group of people. I came in after a couple of years and became friends with pretty much the entire panel in just a couple of weeks. So yeah, I really miss that.
Thank you,
Um,
Peter.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Have a good one. Thank you. Thank you, brother.
You
Thank you, brother.
you too, Salman. Okay,
Bye bye. Bye bye.
I'll I'll throw in the outro. Um, any last words, Mubarak?
Um, I think, I think, I think we had a very good discussion. There is some disagreement that we had about some the hadiths and the problem with the hadiths, but that's a disagreement with Islam in general, not Salman himself. Um, and the other thing, I sent some links in the chat about some of the topics we talked about. There is a hadith that the one that I referenced. I like to check myself on a couple of things about one of, if I'm not mistaken, is from Islamic website, and another one is from an opposite website talking about the different Qurans. So I'm just I'm glad to be here. I wish the best for Salman, and just like what we talked to the other Muslim who had different ideas about the Quran. Um, your problem, if you see if you say that the Quran is identified with or correct with the scientific methods and evolution and all that, you should discuss it with Muslims, but be safe and protect yourself first, because we have seen so many people. We know so many people have been imprisoned or killed because they challenged the idea of things we discussed today. Um, so I'm just grateful to be here, and thank you.
Well, let's hope that he comes back with another good topic to talk about. And as I just said about the panel from the Quran lesson show, Anton Gomez, you're late for ending, so better luck
Mm-hmm.
next time. Anton was also part of the Quran lessons. So yeah, I this has been great. For people who have nothing better to do, in a couple of hours, I'll be live again on Jackson Wheat's channel, where we're going to talk about a school series put up by Genesis Apologetics. So yay, that's going to be science. Not probably not. Um, we'll see you all next time. Hoping to get another show in for next Thursday. So keep posted, and if you're on Twitter, um, everyone on Twitter is in the ticker below. So follow us there, and you will get a notice when going to be a next show. See you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Listen to this. Our visitors watched almost 18 million minutes of our videos on YouTube. I'm telling you, praise God. Can you imagine that? I want to say a big thank you to all of our YouTube subscribers and all of our partners. Now listen, if you have not subscribed to a YouTube channel, do it right now. Do it today. And all you have to do is click the big red subscribe button. Be sure to share our channel with your family and with friends, because it takes all of us working together to spread the word